So, Rebecca, we got in a fight last time.
Oh, we were going to talk about it. I didn't know if we were going to talk about it. Yeah. We were yelling at each other.
Well, I
I was yelling at you whether you felt like you were being yelled at
well,
or
I
not.
was I was more dominant. So if one person was yelling, it was me. The way that I frame it, and it's just from my own perspective and my memory, but it was sparked by an innocent comment by you that you were concerned for people that were being persecuted by ICE, and you were talking about how you had a sign on your office to harbor people if they were in trouble. And it triggered something in me. And I don't use the word trigger lightly. I think,
We
obviously,
were both triggered.
obviously there's a lot of raw feelings, but the thing that, the thing that it sparked in me was initially concern for you and people like you and other, let's just be blunt about it, other lesbians who have been shot by ICE.
Yeah,
And
driving up here, I was really thinking about, God, I just saw myself so much. There's Renee Good and I are like no degrees apart.
yeah. So and I'll start crying, but when you were talking about that, I'm just like, I don't want Rebecca or anyone else to get shot. There are other avenues of nonviolent
And Renee was
change.
nonviolent.
Well, yeah, right, exactly, but non-risky, less risky, and the courts are catching up. There are federal courts, state courts. There are other politicians other than the president. That's the balance of power. There
But
are
I
state
think,
powers, and anyway, so I'm doing it. But my
right.
point is that I initially was trying to tell you and other people that at the very least it shouldn't be on your shoulders to solve this problem.
Yeah.
That our systems, our government, the American way, the Constitution should be there to protect the people. And for us to be basically sieged by unmarked armed thugs, there's no right answer. There's no good answer to this. But I just was so angry that people like yourself and we have to make those choices. So it was sparked by that. But then I'm just like bulldozing you in the process, like, Rebecca, you will take my compassion or else, and you kind of took it as rightfully so because
I
of,
was like, dude, you are so privileged. Back the fuck off. Like, I was
right.
like,
And
I got real defensive.
well, if I was more articulate or more talking with you, not at you, I don't think you would have taken it, because I think the way you took it was I was saying, stop doing things, stop doing those things, stop being an activist, stop trying, or what's the big deal? I don't think I was saying what's the big deal. That was quite the opposite of what
Well,
I was saying.
I think you were. Well, I mean, my impression. There was so much going on, but I just want to say that, like, if you and I can get triggered at each other right now, I think probably everybody's super crispy
Yeah.
and stressed. And like, I mean, I was saying to you, Kirk, I would die for this cause. And you were saying back, Rebecca, do not die for this cause. And I was like, it just might happen. Like, and it was so painful
Yeah.
that, like, that's where we are in the fascist structure right now.
Right.
And I think I was saying to you, I saw someone who looks just like me, whose life is just like mine, die for this cause.
Yeah.
And I'm a mess about it. And it's really hard for anyone to comfort each other right now because we're all just like kind of fragile zombies trying to make it day to day. So I just want to talk about what happened next for me because it was so interesting. So you and I have never fought. We've been friends for like 20 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so fucking freaked out that I called my boyfriend and I was like, something real crazy just went down. And they were so concerned by the sound of my voice. They didn't tell me this, but at 6 o'clock at night, the mail got dropped off. And then right after the mail got dropped off, somebody popped in the window of my door. And I thought it was the mailman, but it was Nick. And he was like, you just seemed really messed up. And I thought I should come see you. I was like, thank you, because I was really messed up because me and Kirk just got in a fight. And then I canceled all my appointments the next day. I was just rocked. Like, I don't know. And so Nick and I were spending the day together, and we went out to lunch. While we were out to lunch, you sent a long apology voice memo, maybe?
Voice memo.
And I wrote back, like, I was going to send you the same thing. But I was, like, trying to get my thoughts together. So it took us 12 hours to find the words to, like, be like, hey, I'm sorry, Jude. That was weird. Let's not do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, like I said in the voice memo, it was 90% at least my fault. Because I have been the recipient of that tone that I am capable of and know what that feels like, and I hate it. It's domineering, it's discounting, it's dismissive, it's bulldozery, it's belittling, it's hurtful, could be scary, I guess. Again, it was sparked by concern for you and not wanting you to be hurt. But then it quickly became narcissistically about my own spouting and things that were building up inside of me, and then quickly had nothing to do with you as a human being, and it became more about you as an idea,
And you deleted all that content and put
I thought about including it, but I honestly didn't want to listen back to it. It was hard for me too, It took me a few days to recover myself. I had my version of what you were going through. I had more trust that we would be fine. And is that the first fight we've been in? I feel like we've had other...
I mean, for me, there was something different about that fight. I don't know if I'm more raw right now.
Because I did listen back to a little bit of it, I will say. And after, we were kind of going back and forth, and you used a phrase, and I was like, well, I wouldn't say that we were like yelling at each other or something like that.
Well, but I think it like told a lot about our childhoods to each other in that moment. Like, one of the things I wrote you was like, that's what my entire adolescence sounded like with my mom. Like, that level of hostility, bristly, you're doing it wrong. And you were like, my parents never fought ever. And I was like, Lord Jesus, like that tone. Sorry, everyone, I just burped.
Yeah. So normally I have this like lemonade, uncarbonated, but, and Rebecca I really like it. It's the vitamin water lemonade.
It's sugar-free. It's very tasty.
Yeah. And I don't have any today. I ran out for some reason. But I offered the two of us Diet Sunkist.
It's very tasty. I'm enjoying it, but it clearly just made me burp.
But I said I've learned from experience that podcasting and carbonated drinks do not mix well.
I just learned that for the first time.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that level of intensity was someone that I want to receive care from. In my nervous system is wired to mean bad, and in my childhood was unrepairable, or was left on me to repair. So maybe that was one of the things that was so touching that you reached out to repair. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, people view verbal escalation differently.
Yeah. But I feel trusting of you and of our relationship, and
yeah,
and also kind of me, that I didn't feel like, although there might be some uncertainty maybe moving forward with us, I didn't really feel that uncertain. But if there was any, I didn't think that it would be because like I'm a horrible, shameful person.
No, I don't feel that way.
And I think all those kind of elements made it so that I only lost a few hours of sleep that night instead of like all the hours of sleep.
I think with Nick, I was just like, hold me, I feel weird.
Yeah.
Like things got shaken up.
But I felt so bad when you were telling me that you were sobbing because I just thought, Kirk, like, what the fuck? You know, like, why would you do that to someone? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But I think it speaks to trying to care for each other in a time where things are just so uncertain.
Yeah.
And it just,
but it's also
emotions run hot.
But it's also I'm a dick sometimes and has nothing to do.
Well, and I fucking won't back down. I'm like, are you coming for me? Because bitch, this shit is on. Yeah. Like,
but you didn't fight. I think you remember things that you were saying that were more pointed than
I should say. My nervous system was there. Whatever was coming out of my mouth, I mean, I think I was the first to be like, hey, I think what we're talking about, like, I will be the first to placate in a fight because, like, I just hate trauma so much.
Yeah. Well, it quickly, because we're recording, and so it quickly turned into us just trying to get the train back on the rails, and we just sort of started talking more generally.
Yeah.
And the quote-unquote fight was extremely brief. And in fact, the little bit that I heard, I thought, I don't even know if the listeners would think we were fighting.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for us,
right, we could feel the difference. Yeah. So, do you do Wordle?
I have, but
okay.
I don't.
I'm oddly, there's periods of time where I can't do it, but I'm like on a roll right now. And Beth D and I, that's our morning conversation. And if one of us
our old coworker at ENIAC, another art therapist,
if one of us gets it but the other doesn't, we give funny hints to each other. And so the word was drama, and Beth couldn't get it. Anything that has a repeating letter in it is
it's ironic that Beth couldn't get it because she is one of the least drama people on the planet.
So what I wrote, my hint to her was something we don't like in our lives, but we like on TV. And she just wrote back, great hint. And I was like, thank you. Because we're both like, are you overly dramatic and take too much of my time? I think this comes from teaching, where you're like, I'm not your person. Yeah. I like people chill. Like,
I think most people don't like drama in their life. I don't either. But at the same time, with all of my close friends, the way that I think about it is the closer you get to someone, the more their sharp edges are going to poke you. And it's a product of getting close, which is good. Mm-hmm. You can avoid those sharp edges by being distant from everyone, or you can get in close and get poked sometimes.
Yeah,
norming or poke others with your sharp edges.
Norming and storming.
What's that mean?
Norming and storming is a concept of group process where every group has norms and things are chill for a while, and then there's a storm. Like, that's just if there's never a storm, you're not in a group.
I like that. Norming and storming.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Persian Gulf War, Storm and Norman. Remember him? Norman Schwarzkopf.
Yes, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
So I have an unpopular opinion. Last time you admitted that you don't like Chappell Roan. And
although I will take it back slightly because Stacy pushed back months ago when I was sort of yammering about this. And she said, there is this one Chappell Roan song that's pretty good. And I was just like, I don't know. I haven't heard it. And then we were at Pico Cafe in Ballard or Sunset Hill. And I heard this song and I thought, this is obviously a top 40 song. Like, it's obviously like a new pop song. And I thought, it's not terrible. And I Shazammed it, and it was Chappell Roan. It was one of her, I think maybe one of her first hits, I'm not sure. And I said to Stacy, I was like, oh, you're right. There is one song that is tolerable. And she said, yeah, this is the one I was telling you about. And I was like, oh, interesting. So, and I'm being a little exaggeratory. I'm there's a zone of tolerating pop music, and I would put it definitely towards the better side of that range. I wasn't barely tolerating it. I was tolerating to almost liking it. You know what I mean? So I will take it back on that level.
So I finally watched Heated Rivalry. When I was in a period where I had not watched it, people were flipping out. I actually had one client like literally losing on me and was like, "You need to watch it by our next session." And I was like, "I can't promise you that." And, you know, I've had friends that have watched it 3 times. I've had friends that have watched it back to back. I was like, the hype on this show is unbelievable. Finally got HBO and watched it and was like, meh. Like, I don't care about these characters. The sex isn't blowing my mind. I don't know. It didn't do it for me. And then I watched
Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
no, Nick is watching that. Then I watched
It's really short. It's 6.
yeah, you
gotta watch it. It's really
I'm
good.
watching it / falling asleep. Like
I've watched it 3 or 4
okay,
times.
I enjoyed it. It
Oh,
was a good sleep.
Okay.
But then I watched Jodie Foster in Night Kingdom, the latest True Detectives, where she's in Alaska.
Okay.
Blown fucking away.
Really?
Obsessed.
Is this the like Mayor of Easttown kind of
Yeah.
kind of
But
series?
it's a standalone 6 episode.
I mean, if it's any as good as Mayor of Easttown, it must be really good.
Oh my God. Jodie Foster is like a defining actress for me. She's always been clearly queer. She's always been great. Mm-hmm. But in this show, she plays somebody truly awful who like is a great detective and can be great with people in her role as a detective. But other than that, she's like a sex addict bitch. And so watching her switch between those 2 roles, and then there's a whole kind of native meets mining culture clash of this teeny tiny town. And it's also past solstice, so it's dark 24/7. And you're in Alaska, and there's all this magical realism, and there's all of this really intense character development. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, that for me is like obsessive. And I
haven't watched
cute romantic love story. I'm like, meh.
I haven't watched the other one. What did you not like about it? Or
What did I not like about Heated Rivalry? I didn't care about the 2 main characters like at all.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean,
right.
So there must be something about the story that didn't.
But the whole show is about them and their long development from hot sex into a relationship where they have to be closeted. And then there's this other plot line about this guy who comes out of the closet. One guy is really enmeshed with his domineering, still together parents. One guy is Russian, and there's all the cultural stuff about that.
Were you bored or not
I was
interested?
a little bit bored, but also like, when something is so hyped up and you're like, okay, grab the popcorn. Oh, it was during that snow day that we had where you had no snow and I was like snowed. Like it literally snowed at my house all day long. Yeah. So I was like,
I think it was like people that were a little bit further from the ocean, because we're right next to Puget Sound, which is the ocean, right? That it was right on the cusp. And so you got snow and we got like snow with rain kind of a thing.
Yeah. But also like I live on North Beacon Hill, and if it snows, you are not leaving the house. Like you could walk parallel to the grocery store, but you are either anyway off of that hill is a big steep hill, and like, not happening. So yeah, so I watched Heated Rivalry all day and like kept waiting because I was like, okay. Like, and there's this cabin where they have lots of sex together, and like, so people were like, well, wait till the cabin episode. And I was like, am I not wired female? Because this book was written by a woman. I was just like, because it's written like a typical romance, but they're men. I don't know. I felt like I was wired wrong for this show.
Well, you're running into something that I've run into more and more as a content provider that will spout his opinion about different art, movies, and TV and stuff that will be at odds with other people. I have learned that there's a weird phenomenon that we all kind of hope and expect that the people we like and respect will have the exact same opinions within like the not just like whether you liked something, but exactly how much you liked it or disliked it needs to 100% align. Otherwise, we experience quite a dissonance or even a distress. And I've experienced it with my parasocial people. I watch a lot of movie and TV reviewers on YouTube, and there's one guy that is like 85% aligned with me. His name's Cosmonaut. He's like a young guy, and he watches a lot of older movies and stuff. He tends to watch a lot of nerd stuff like MCU and that kind of stuff, but he also watches other movies. And other YouTubers, other reviewers, Mark Commode is someone, he's a British guy that aligns with me mostly. But this Cosmonaut, but anyway, there are times when Cosmonaut very much has a complete opposite thoughts about things. And like, I feel it, that I'm like, ugh, you weren't watching it right. Or is there something wrong with me? And I really think we just have to, because I can kind of hear it in your voice, like you're not being a proper queer by not liking it. Or you're too old and or
I've seen
stuffy.
too much. Well, I also felt like I've seen a lot of.
Well, see now, so now you're getting
and-
into this like, how do I explain that I don't align? And people will, and I've done this too, where I will literally think or say, well, other people have bad taste, or I've seen this before, and so therefore you're just naive and childish, and so you have to graduate to my level before you understand how stupid that was or how good it was. And what I've concluded and really beat into my head is the statement of, it's just not for me, apparently. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Well, and it was interesting to see those two shows back to back because everybody has said, Heated Rivalry, so beautifully shot. You'll just be blown away at the sex scenes. And I was like, meh. But then the Jodie Foster show was so, I was like, now that was beautiful cinematography. Like that was epic and interesting. And I guess I'm like a landscape person and like, I don't know.
Well, I was recently doing a little deep dive into the mountains of North America and the highest peaks in North America. And I always thought that Mount Rainier was like, if you would have just pointed at me, I would have said that Mount Rainier has got to be top 3, but it's not even close. There's even a mountain in California that's tall. That's a little bit taller than Mount Rainier.
Is it Mount Shasta?
No, it's like one of the mountains in the Sierra Nevadas.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's because that part of the country is already kind of high up or something.
Right. Well, also it's a single mountain in an urban area.
Right. Like Mount Rainier just sticks out like a pimple, But there are half a dozen or a dozen peaks in Alaska,
Mount McKinley,
that are just ginormous compared to any, and mountains I've never heard of, and I'm thinking, and they were showing pictures of them, and I was just like, if Mount Rainier is beautiful, and I've seen pictures of Alaska, I've never been. I want to go now and like hang out with Jodie Foster and look at the peaks.
You should go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say for my own mental health right now, I'm doing a deep dive into Jung's Red Book.
Oh, yeah?
As I prep to do in July, I'm doing a
Tell people about it.
I'm doing a...
Because it's a very particular... Well, the Red Book. Tell people about what the Red Book is.
Oh, the Red Book is so cool. So you and I have both seen it because there was a copy at Antioch purchased or dedicated by Anne Blake.
Yeah, it was there was a podium specifically in the library for it. There was an inauguration ceremony at Anne Blake. People who know Anne Blake from the podcast,
Jungian.
She's come on the podcast, to talk about various different things, including Jungian therapy.
Yeah. So Jung decided to dedicate part of his life to his unconscious and his dreams, and he created this book that is beautifully, not only handwritten, he considered it his magnum opus, but it is exquisitely hand painted with paintings that will blow your frickin' mind. They are so Jungian. They are so deep and powerful, and he becomes the snake in these paintings. He becomes the old man. They are entrancing on their own. Most people don't know that Jung was a painter. And he was looking into several deep concepts around the unconscious, the hero's journey, which I don't even think that term existed at the time that he was talking about it. And he painted in this book for like 2 decades. And then his family put it in a safe deposit box in the 30s in Switzerland. And it stayed in that box for decades. And it was like much rumored, much thought about, but unseen until 2010 when it was published large format.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah.
So when we got one at Antioch, that was when it was first even seen by other people.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, like, why did it get put away?
Yeah. Well, probably because it was like a diary for him, right?
Yes, but he considered it his most important work. He
wanted it to be shared?
He called it his magnum opus.
But he wanted it to be shared?
I think so.
You know? Like maybe it wasn't clear and his family were like, well, it feels uncool to publish something unless he said he wanted it to be published.
Yeah. So doing a deep dive on this is a blast. I'm listening to this great podcast that came out in it came out during the pandemic, where these 2 women psychologists, whose name I will look up and say later, they started, they read it like they read their favorite parts episode by episode. And so you get this really deep look into it. Talk about Jung for a minute while I look up this podcast because I want everyone to know about it.
Well, I'm going to play for you a TikTok or a reel or a YouTube short or whatever by this guy that I like on YouTube called Good Work. He does news.
Wait a second. I just pulled it up.
Oh.
So the podcast is called Salome, C.G. Jung and the Red Book. And if you're into Jung, you should take a listen. It's really, really good.
So let's listen. This is him reading looksmaxxing forum posts. Do you know about looksmaxxing?
Is that where you wear a lot of stuff?
No.
Oh.
We understand that body dysmorphia and body shaming is rampant and ramping up in our culture, mainly harming women, but increasingly over the years harming men. And so right now we have all these young men and boys that are, have you heard of clavicular and this sort of thing? So there's this main guy influencer named Clavicular who talks about how to how to maximize your looks.
Oh.
And he does a lot of things, including taking a lot of substances and hormones and even hitting his cheekbones with a hammer, I think is what he does, to like build up the bone underneath or the scar tissue or the what's the
Fascia?
What's the things that makes your
Tendons? Muscle?
No, it's something. It's not cortisol. It's the other one, the other C. Anyway, he's hated by the outside to this world people because you look at him and he's like telling all these young men and boys to do all these horrible things to their bodies, but then inside this world, it is like.
I'm gonna look him up.
Anyway, but when you hear these looksmaxxing forum posts, you get an idea of the kinds of concerns for these people. So let's listen to that. What do you say?
Yes.
And now, a dramatic reading of real questions from looksmaxxing forums. Staring at the sun makes your eyes lighter. What are the ideal skull face measurements? Does penis genetics come from mom or dad? Teeth whitening, penis whitening, infraglabular notch. How does sex feel like? Is roids only way to get crazy physique within a year? I'm 14. Should I take steroids at the age of 15? 3 days into HGH at 15 and my legs are hurting. Is it good or bad? Why is everyone in the UK subhuman? Maximizing my child's stats. Want to give this kid the absolute best shot at elite stats from day one. Height is priority number 1, hoping for 6'4 plus. Then frame width, jawline, bone density, etc. What's the full playbook from birth or even prenatal to puberty?
So you're looking up clavicular?
I haven't found him, but I'm looking up looksmaxxing.
Oh, well, so you get an idea of the concerns of some of these people. Again, 14 years old, talking about how they're already taking steroids or trying, they're really obsessed with the jawline. And they're just the next product of
Right,
the
sexism.
ramping up of the not only
Fascist sexism hurts everybody.
yeah, but also just the unbridled materialistic and Instagram sort of face, the filters and the loneliness. Because, if you have people in your life who love you for who you are, then you're not going to focus so
really
fucking much on
right.
your cheekbones. You might be a little concerned about it, but it's on the priority list, not number one. Whereas with people that are lonely and hurting, traumatized, then they're going to be.
I just burped in the mic again.
Oh, nice. So let's take a break, let out all of our burps, and get back and answer an email. What do you say?
Yes, but we didn't really get to lookmaxxing. You want my opinion on it?
Please.
Oh, God. Why are we doing this to ourselves? I mean, this is... So, in the feminist world, we're talking a lot about GLP-1s and how radically it's changing people's bodies so quickly. And that a whole bunch of people who just got comfortable with their bodies are now shaken of like, do I need to change myself? And so I'll just say, you don't need to change your face. If you can't find, if we go back to Jung, right? The reason that you feel like you need to change your face is a message from the shadow. And instead of listening to the message from the shadow, if you can befriend your shadow and say, hey, thanks for talking. Let's find another way of being together. Actually, my face is fine. My body is fine. I'm worth getting to know. The right person will love me for who I am. I mean, I'm doing a deep dive into porn right now for a lecture that I've got coming up in 2 weeks. And people that are Gooners. This whole thing about gooners of people who just watch rapid cycle hardcore porn all the time and how it destimulates their brain. There's lots of ways to lose yourself right now. And Jung would say, yes, right. This is the shadow that's saying, deny your true self, deny your creativity, deny walking the path into self-exploration and find a quick high is not the way to go. So I would say, please don't hit your cheekbones with a hammer, for God's sake. And we know lots of people who have insufficient cheekbones who found connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. All right, let's take a break.
Okay.
All right, we're back from the break. So here's an email. Okay, my dog, or my neighbor's dogs. Yeah. It's one thing when neighbor dogs will bark.
This is howling.
They sound like they're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're clearly outside.
Yeah. And I don't understand my neighbors, because when our dogs bark a couple times, both of us are instantly grabbing them and bringing them inside because we don't want to bother people. But they'll just leave their dogs out there. I don't know for how long, I think sometimes they'll come and get them, but anyway. All right. Patron and YouTube member Shira. This, I guess, kind of relates to what we're talking about. It's kind of a long email, so feel free to chime in as we go.
Okay.
I've been following your channel for a while, and I really value the way you talk about complex emotional situations with kindness and clarity. I'm writing because something happened today at work that completely broke me, and I would really like to hear your thoughts on it, how to think about it, how to deal with it, and maybe just how to get through it without losing my sense of self. Oh, the dogs are howling again. This morning, my director, my boss, called me into her office. So my boss called me into her office, told me that I'm too fat, that I sweat, and that I smell, and that because of that, I can't properly represent the big public institution I work for.
Okay, let's just stop right there. So I don't know if this person works in America, but in America, I don't think that's legal to tell someone those things. There can be standards of hygiene, but the size of your body is not up for discussion in the workplace. Am I correct on that?
I assume, at the very least,
I used to be
it's
married to
suable.
an employment lawyer. I should know the answer to that.
At the very least, it's a suable offense, because if Patreon and YouTube member Shira were to feel like she can't work there comfortably and she had to quit, you could present a lawsuit saying that it was a hostile work environment, at the very least, right? That it's not fair and it's not okay to word things that way or to even have those criteria, right? Like on the application, it doesn't say you must be X, Y, and Z.
Are you fat? Do you sweat? Then don't come work here.
Yeah.
Right. You couldn't, if you can't advertise it that way, you can't say it to somebody.
Yeah. But it does raise a question of what if someone really, really stank?
So you could address that you could not address that as a body weight issue.
Right.
You could address that as a hygiene issue.
It doesn't have anything to do with body weight.
Right.
It's just, so if someone stinks, like that's getting into affecting other people and maybe customers. But yeah, in terms of body size, that's irrelevant. But I don't know what the legal aspects are. I am an employer, but I haven't looked into that, so I don't know. It's never come up. My position is quite visible. I run workshops, classes, and lectures, but until today, I always believed that my competence and intelligence mattered more than how I looked. Just chiming in. I want to be clear. I'm not believing the boss in the perception of the sweating and the smelling. It's possible, but there's a chance that the boss has a screw loose in a lot of ways. And given what we're hearing, I don't know if we have a reliable narrator in the boss. You know what I mean? So,
right. These things could not be true.
Right. It could just be completely an excuse to oppress or kick her out, or just she doesn't like her or something, or her own internalized fat phobia herself, the boss.
Right.
The boss.
Or like, do you ask your friends, like, hey, do I smell? I ask my friends this all the time. I took a shower today and washed my hair specifically because I was going to come see you.
Well, you've never smelled.
I know we have this conversation way too often.
We do?
Yes.
Do you have a phobia about smelling?
I have a phobia about smelling for you.
Do I? Why?
I don't know, because this is like, which is funny because I'm not seen at all. This is the most professional thing I do. You and I are physically more close. Everything's so separate now that like when I present, you hug me.
Yeah.
So and you're taller than me. So you could potentially smell
the top of your head. I probably have smelled the top of your head. Well, for the record, you've never had any smell of any sort. So.
But I'm thinking of like, when both of us were working with lower functioning clients, hygiene was an issue.
Yeah.
That we would have to talk with clients about. Or like students heading into internship, there were certain students where I have to say, hey, I've had experiences actually with supervisors calling me and being like, the student wore something really inappropriate to internship, and having to have conversations about that.
Like slutty?
Like short shorts, like not professional.
Huh. I'm trying to think if I've ever had that conversation. I don't know if I have. I've had students say that I dress too casually. I remember on one of my evaluations, the anonymous feedback, I'll never forget, one student said that they thought it was unprofessional for me to wear jeans to work.
Not in Seattle.
Yeah.
They were
And
clearly...
they weren't blue jeans. They were
Right.
like kind of, dressy-ish kind of,
Yes.
but they're still jeans,
Right, for a Canadian tuxedo, like we're closer to Canada than we are to anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't take it personally. I just thought it was kind of funny that of all the things you could say about your professor as you're teaching about empathy and psychology and exploring your own countertransference, that you're focused on the genes of the... In fact, there were a couple times where I was suddenly realizing how much some students really focused on my pants.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was joking around with one student that I liked. We had good banter, and she, as a joking dig, she said something like, "Well, I mean, you should talk about fashion. I mean, you always wear those stupid gray jeans every day." And the whole class kind of went quiet because I'm just like, huh. I guess I do wear, because there was a certain pair of jeans that I wore a lot, that year or something. And I didn't know that I did that. I also didn't know that anyone took notice of it, but apparently it was a thing that people took notice of.
Well, and I'll say on the flip side, I had a supervisor in New York. So, like, I am so poor, right? I'm in graduate school in New York City. I have no money. And the supervisor said to us, we really need to be taken seriously in this job. I suggest you wear silk shirts every time you come into work. And
Specifically silk shirts.
Yeah. And I was like, silk shirt? Like, and I'm an art therapist. Like, are you freaking kidding me? A silk
Well, it's really
shirt?
specific.
I know. She and I did not get along. She had a very clear identity about being seen as top of the heap. And, I don't play that game. So it was rough.
Well, going on, she didn't threaten to fire me or anything like that. On the contrary,
He's going to demote her.
she said she was worried about me, that she cared about me, that she wanted to help me, and she wanted to shake me up because she sees how talented and smart I am, and she can't stand to watch me destroy myself, as she put it. I spent the next 10 hours crying. Right?
So
I mean, just imagine being told that you're too fat, you sweat too much, and you smell too. I mean,
and you're at the top of your profession, and you're being told you can't do this anymore because of because of the boss's value system.
Yeah. I'll definitely talk to my close friends and maybe go back to therapy. It's been a while since I had regular sessions, but I think this is a crisis point for me. Still, I wanted to ask you what you would say to someone in this situation. How do you even begin to process something like this? I'll try to.
Your boss is an asshole.
Yeah, really. Because even if let's just go with the thought experiment that there just happens to be a noticeable smell issue that isn't just the boss, that customers or other people have said, I am having a hard time being in the airspace of this person because of body odor. I had a coworker who was like this, someone that we both knew actually, and he every 3 days just had a cloud around him. And
Turn off the mic.
Do you know who it is? All right. We just paused it. Rebecca thought I was talking about one guy that I wasn't talking about, and so we both disclosed to each other about our stinky
and I
coworkers.
never told him he stank.
Yeah, I was really close to the one I'm thinking of, and I never said anything, I don't think. But it was pretty bad, and at some point, is it uncool as a friend or a coworker to not say something? Or is it just you that has the problem with it? These are questions that you should ask yourself if you're ever going to say to someone this sort of thing. But how do you deliver it? So if it was a matter of necessity to tell Shira about this, then you say it in a different way.
Right. I mean, and I'm thinking of
you certainly don't mention fat. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with it?
I would say, so let's talk about how I would say, is this, I mean, often you ask people, are you unwell? Is this a medication issue? I've noticed.
Well, I wouldn't say that because that gets into the personal. I would just.
If they were my friend.
if they're a friend. But
Yeah.
even then, you would just want to stick with your perception and let them kind of explore their own factors, because proposing theories might be a little.
I did have a client who would fast and come in while he was fasting, and he would reek, like his body was detoxing, and I had to tell him, like, we can't do this.
Right. So sometimes it's a matter of, it's not just a preference, like you hate TV shows about gay men. It's that you can't.
I've probably consumed more gay TV.
It's that you can't even just handle, like, it's all you can. It's like this like sharp pain in your nose that it's assaulting your senses, and you're just like, I can't do this.
And are you watching The Pit?
No, I keep hearing some listeners have recommended it, and
it's really, really good.
It has all the trappings of a show I would hate, because I never watched ER or Grey's Anatomy.
Well, it is the most interesting workplace drama. They do the best job addressing vicarious trauma and workplace violence I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
But in the second season, there's a schizophrenic person in the waiting room and it's July 4th in Pittsburgh. And so it reeks to high heaven, and they eventually move that person back, and they have an outside shower that the person gets clean, and they throw all their clothes away. And so if you've worked with schizophrenics, this is a huge issue.
Right.
And actually, the olfactory nerve goes out in schizophrenia, and that's part of the reason they smell so intense.
Right. So if someone legit has this issue, and as a boss, you've confirmed it, you're not just going off your own assumption about other people's experience, then in my approach, it would not be an easy conversation, but I certainly wouldn't bring up anything else other than the observation that I would have of, like, I notice that sometimes there's a smell of BO with you, which isn't horrible, but I've noticed it, and it had been going on for a number of months off and on. And then I thought, I wonder if this is actually something that you know about or not. And I don't know. I sometimes smell myself. I'm at work and I'm like, ooh, I'm a little funky today. And I cringe. Like, I wonder if I was bothering other people. And then I quickly put on, that's why I have deodorant in my desk or something. And so I just wanted to have a conversation with you about it and just see, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I just wanted to tell you that tentatively, and let's have a conversation about it, because I wonder if some customers might be smelling it and it might be not representing the company very well or something. Now, is that the best way of saying it? I don't know, but it certainly doesn't comment on their body. It self-discloses your own, you're not identifying her as the one person that might have BO in the office or something. You're not saying anything definitively like you stink and you're ruining this company. Mm-hmm. So, it's a tough conversation. We like to live in a world where we don't have to have those conversations and that everyone can be whoever they want to be. But it's not always the case. Now, again, I want to say there's a pretty good chance that Shira doesn't smell at all. Mm-hmm. And this boss, this could even just be a weird backdoor way of your boss just wanting to body shame you. Mm-hmm. And she's bringing up smell because she thinks that's more politically correct to say than just you're fat and I don't like the way you look, or so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who knows what's going on with this boss? Sounds like a piece of work, really. Mm-hmm. So going on, I still believe my competence should matter more than my looks. Yes, I'm overweight. Yes, sometimes I sweat, but I shower every single morning, use deodorants and other products, and nobody has ever told me that I smell bad.
Right. So this is one of those situations where, like, if one person says something really, really awful to you, does that make it true?
Yeah. And things like this, even with people that have fairly good confidence, this will throw you in a tailspin for years. You know what I mean?
We were just talking about this of, like, being so at Antioch you were evaluated anonymously twice a semester, a quarter, and people said really harsh stuff.
Yeah. And like, I think literally one time 20 years ago, someone said that it was unprofessional for me to wear jeans, and I still remember that. So yeah, it's,
And like I do these really public presentations and I get public feedback, and I'm addressing it right now with my supervisor. Like one person had something really harsh to say, and we had to talk about it.
yeah. Not something about your body or anything.
No.
Yeah.
Something about the presentation.
Yeah. Number 2, at the same time, I do understand that my boss represents the institution. Maybe she feels she has the right to expect me to look better. I teach, and maybe there's an expectation that teachers or public speakers should fit a certain image.
That's fucking bullshit. I just want to say that.
Yeah, yeah. Number 3, right now I feel so humiliated that I want to quit my job. If people really see me like this, maybe I shouldn't stay in this role until I quote-unquote fix myself. But then what am I supposed to do in the meantime? Between now and the hypothetical future when I lose weight. I don't want to stand in front of people again after hearing something like that. Number 4.
Is there HR at this place? That's be the other thing. It's like, if we're in the United States right now, this is a HR issue.
Yeah.
You have a real strong complaint against your boss.
Yeah. Number 4, part of me wants to take it as a wake-up call. Maybe this is an opportunity. Maybe I can treat it as a sign to take better care of myself, to get healthier, to feel better. Maybe she did mean well, but it hurts too much for me to see it that way right now.
And weight loss, health at every size thing, that most people's bodies have a set weight point. And if you attempt to lose weight, the chances that you will gain it back are really high. And then other people are now like, well, just go on a GLP-1, which freaking wrecks your digestive system that no one ever talks about. My social media feeds are full of how to poop on GLP-1s. I don't know if you're getting that content.
No, I don't see anything about...
Well, you get all the manosphere stuff, and I get all the stuff geared at women.
No, I don't get manosphere stuff.
Oh, okay.
That guy he's not a manosphere.
Oh.
He talks about like news and like the only reason why I know about clavicular is because I listen to a podcast where they talk about their TikTok feeds and like I don't think I've ever seen Clavicular's face. I've only like heard about him through this podcast where they watch. Yeah, and I've deleted all social media from my phone. The only thing that I look at that sort of has a feed is YouTube, and it's all astronomy and Star Trek and movies and TV, and I watch a lot of cooking shows for some reason, even though I don't cook. So that's pretty much all that I see.
Well, so mine is all, so I'm a social media addict, and mine is all wireless bras, how to poop on GLP-1s, rompers that are somehow sexy, but you can also easily go to the bathroom in.
Wait, what's a romper?
Like a unit, not a unitard, but like a onesie for adults that like has a drop in the back so that you don't have to like unbuckle everything and like show your boobs in the bathroom.
Like long underwear.
Yeah, like long underwear. What else is, I get all the lady stuff. I get take all the collagen in the world.
Collagen, that was the C word I was trying.
Oh, okay.
Like you hit your face to make collagen.
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to take tons of collagen so I don't look old. How to put red light on your neck so that it doesn't look like you're aging in any way. All of the under eye patches so that I'll look young and fresh at all times. So yes, there are tons of ways in which I am bombarded because I choose to interact on social media of how I should change my body. And look, the current term for women's faces is that my neck and face should be snatched, which is, it's soft. It's not snatched. I will be doing nothing to snatch my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say to our listener, just be really mindful about diet and exercise. I would never ask you to radically change your body.
Yeah.
Because chances are it'll change right back.
Yeah, I would get a second opinion. You're, Shira, assuming that your boss, one, is rational, but even if your boss was rational, well, what's rational in this situation? The only thing that is potentially rational is the smell thing. The way that you're taking it mainly has to do with the fat thing that she is saying. That's going to leave a mark when someone says something like that. And I just hope that you don't take what your boss says as some indicator of reality or what you're supposed to care about. You know, your boss is representing a societal oppressive notion. And, you know, if you want to change things about your lifestyle, you're free to do that, of course. But I would take considerable care and get a lot of second opinions and explore all this before you start assuming that what she says is, one, representative of what other people think, and two, you know, worthy of you even regarding at all. There's a chance that other people might have those kind of thoughts as well, but who gives a flying fuck? You know what I mean? And how do you approach that? You know, it's complicated, of course, but in the fact that the rest of your emails mainly focusing on the fat comment, that leads me to believe that the overall conversation probably was more about body shaming than about smelling bad. Like I was saying earlier, that the smelling bad was just like a detail or a backdoor way of actually shaming you regarding your body.
Or a really powerful way to say you're icky.
You're gross, yeah. And yeah, I mean, all of us, I don't know what society that you're living in, Shira, but I know that in the United States, everyone is harmed by the way in which bodies are shamed and looks are shamed. And we all have, unfortunately, a lot of healing to do around that. And not just healing, but constant healing and pushback. So you've experienced probably just one harm on a lifetime of harming about this sort of thing. And so you're jumping ahead to the solution of just like, okay, maybe I should use this as like a kick in the pants to like motivate me to finally lose a bunch of weight. I mean, that's kind of, you're questioning that, and that is leaping forward before healing and evaluation and fairness, and even just getting other people's opinions about how things are, you know, what the reality is. And again, if that even matters, you know, what really matters, as you're saying, is, are you good at your job? And yeah, so let's take a break. We get back, another email. What do you say?
Yes. Wunmi Mosuka?
Korean?
No, Nigerian.
Okay.
The actress that was the best supporting actress nominee for Sinners. Did you see Sinners? Mm-hmm. Big woman, big, beautiful woman. She was also in Loki,
yep,
playing a completely different character. I didn't even realize it was the same actress. But it was so powerful to see someone on screen fully embodied in their full round body, which was heavily featured in that movie as something very, very sexy and desirable, which doesn't happen very often.
Yep.
And she's pregnant right now, and you had an Oscar party, so you saw her fully pregnant and very, very round on TV last night.
Yeah.
Those moments are like so brief and so beautiful for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the eye of the beholder,
Mm-hmm.
and your boss is not the only eye or beholder.
Yeah.
Long-term anonymous highest tier patron. She says, "Hi, Dr. Honda and Rebecca. I have been a faithful listener for years and always enjoyed your podcasts. It not only helps me better understand the world around me, but also makes me feel more understood and less alone." Oh, that's good to hear. "I've wanted to reach out to you for a while, but I felt overwhelmed by everything that I wanted to share. I'll start by sharing that I've had two therapists in my lifetime. My first therapist lasted 4 years, and the second one lasted 6 months. I feel like I may need a different kind of therapy because I've struggled with childhood neglect. Growing up in a single-parent home where my mother worked hard to support us, she did an amazing job, but I often feel unseen." Yeah, just chiming in. That this is a common pathway to neglect and the syndromes of an adult thereof. You know, well-meaning, loving, good parents who are just economically harmed, and they're stressed, and they just don't have the time to attune to the child as much as they need the attunement going on. This, combined with mistreatment from teachers at a young age, contributed to a significant decline in my self-esteem. One of my teachers told me I would never make it to university, and a big part of why I went was to prove to my teacher and myself that I was capable. I don't regret pursuing an education, but I wish my underlying motivation had been different. Just chiming in. Why the fuck, as a teacher, would you tell someone that they're not made for university? Like, how do you fucking know that? How would you possibly know that? Mm-hmm. And what would possess you to say such a fucking thing? Like, if you thought it as a teacher, okay, but why? What's the point? What are you attempting? What's in your job description that tells you to say such a thing to someone, to discourage? Anyway, I also worked during college to pay for my education and support my family, which meant I never fully experienced being young, like making mistakes and discovering my sense of self. This pattern has persisted as I've always taken on a lot of responsibility to avoid a burden to my mother, avoid being a burden to my mother, I see. So, because mom was stressed out, but a good mom, but as a product of that, long-term anonymous highest tier patron was socialized to not burden other people, not bother other people with her needs and this kind of thing, and be too independent, too responsible, too early. Fast forward to 2019, I experienced a major depressive episode, which was my first, and I haven't been the same since. I struggle with socializing, lack of motivation to work, and feel overall lost without purpose. I should also mention that as a 35-year-old black woman who was not born in the U.S., although I've had situationships, I've never been in a relationship and feel neglected romantically. I really don't know what I'm doing in life anymore. I wish more people talked about how one's self-esteem can be severely impacted when they've never been in a romantic relationship. I am currently searching for a therapist, although it feels very overwhelming. I know it will be beneficial, at least I hope so. Any advice or guidance that could help me find strength to see life differently and start enjoying things again would be greatly appreciated, especially regarding building up my self-esteem as an adult. Rebecca, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So let's go through the attachment wounds, right? That you never fully attached to your mom or feel loved as a kid. Potential support system that you might have growing up. Teachers tell you you're not good enough. You head into a high stress environment where you have to put out. It sounds like the feedback loop's not there, where you're building self-esteem out in the workplace or in the world. It's difficult to connect to other adults romantically, to feel vulnerable enough to show someone your full self. These are all things that then make it difficult to connect to others and maybe to yourself. And it's difficult work back to feel good enough in yourself to want to be your full self, either with just alone or with other people. I mean, this is the work of like, where do you find your strengths if you never quite felt like you were good enough? But I will say it's possible. I've watched clients do it over and over and over again. I would want to focus on what you're actually good at and what gifts you bring to the world.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I'll add to that is, as you're saying, anonymous patron, you want to find a therapist. And obviously as therapists, Rebecca and I have helped a lot of people with this, and it can be hard. It can feel like it'll never change, but it absolutely can. And
she's motivated for treatment, which is actually the biggest deal.
Yeah. And you're talking about being depressed, and it's affecting your self-esteem and your low motivation. There's a chance that the prognosis is better than other long-term depressed people because there's something to attack. With some depressed people, there doesn't seem to be anything to change in their perception or their trauma, and they're just biologically, so to speak, or it's hard to know, of course, but there's some people that it just seems like no matter what you heal in their trauma or their schemas or their way of thinking or their relationships, it's just like they're kind of seemingly doomed to be depressed. And, we call this treatment-resistant depression, and it's really rough. But there's a chance for you, your depression is, as we might say, circumstantial as a result of being alone and having these traumas from neglect and growing up, and that with healing from that and changing the secure relationships in your life, that you might actually have a remission completely of the depression. That there's a good chance of that. And the pathway, as you're hinting at, or maybe explicitly referring to, is secure attachments with therapists, with people. And from that, there's a good chance that a lot of things will change. We tend to think of self-esteem as something of a self-thought, which it does have to do with that. Our cognitions, the story we tell about ourselves, definitely has to do with self-esteem. But one way of looking at it, and it's depending on the situation, a way that I look at it, is that the self-talk around like, oh, I'm worthless, no one's going to like me, is a symptom of having not enough relationships that actually teach you that you are lovable, likable, and that people want to be with you. When people treat us with esteem, we naturally have, like, I have pretty good self-esteem, not because I decided to have self-esteem, not because I taught myself to have self-esteem, but I was treated with esteem. My family and the people around me treated me with esteem. And so I learned that I am worth it. And I didn't have any choice in the matter. I didn't do anything to develop that. Nothing. I just was treated with worth, and therefore I learned in the same way that I learned English, to speak English automatically. I didn't set out to learn English. It just happened to me. Well, I didn't set out to have self-worth. It just happened to me. So if you didn't have that, then that's the pathway, is you have to be treated with worth and with esteem, and then you develop that.
I mean, I should say, if you look at my story, like, I was so dyslexic throughout my academic experience until I got to college, where everybody was like, just please go away from academic classes. If you could just please take all art classes and we could just not have to deal with you, that would be great. And we went through long ago, we did that episode where we looked at our evaluations from elementary school. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
We did this. And all of mine were like, Rebecca cannot spell. Like, that's what it would say in it. But then when I got to college, I picked a college that was based on quarterly essays versus and in-class discussions versus on rote memorization. And so, I could get my document spell checked a lot, and I could go to the writing center and like work on it. And I began to get treated with esteem. My professors were like, that was a smart idea. You really worked on this. I really see that you care about this. And that built up my self-esteem. And then eventually I got to grad school and I brought all those skills with me. And I was like, I'm going to do all the reading and I'm going to come in with questions. And my professors were like, oh, you're really working this. You're really doing this. And it encouraged me to keep going. And just this morning I read your
Letter of recommendation
for my sex therapy certification. And it was real nice and full of esteem. It was like, Becca really tries really hard and does all the things. And she would be good at this. So it's like, you got to find that feedback loop where someone says, yes, you're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a similar, not as severe, I don't think, but I thought I was dumb until math and science became a bigger deal in elementary school around 5th grade. I, along with all my other classmates, took placement tests to see if we were going to be in what tier of math and language and science that we would be in, And I, to my surprise, tested into the high classes, you know? And I was like, oh, I'm not dumb. Because of my mild dyslexia, I sucked at spelling. I sucked at reading. I sucked at reading out loud in particular. And I'm an anxious person, and I'm a stage fright person. And so when we would go around the room reading from a book, I would be in the middle of the class and there'd be like 15 other students before me, and I'd just be like increasingly sweating as it's coming to me. And all I have to do is read literally like 3 sentences, and it's terrifying me. And even if I just had to do it, I mean, I don't know if you noticed when I was reading this email, I was like stammering the whole time because my dyslexia, I see the sentences, but it all kind of gets jumbled up, you know? Like I literally see words that aren't there, and then I say them, and I'm like, wait, that word isn't there. Anyway, having, because in the modern discourse, like one of the things I hear a lot in reality TV and in life is like, well, you've got to love yourself before you can love other people, or before other people will love you, or something like that. You've heard that saying before, right?
Invented by RuPaul.
Well,
If you're going to love yourself, you better love yourself, because how in the hell?
But it's reverse. How in the hell are you supposed to love yourself if no one loves you? How are you supposed to love yourself if no one loves you? Now, the message is fine of like, hey, you got to love yourself. Like, don't beat yourself up. That's a good message. But the notion of, the reason why your relationships are going so poorly is because you don't love yourself is a really destructive message, because it says you're making a choice to hate yourself, and therefore your relationships are going poorly. I don't know what RuPaul was saying, but often this message is put out there. Again, well-meaning, because usually it's an observation of, hey, you're beating yourself up. That's not fair to you. And that's a good message. But it's an American individualistic notion that you have to go away and fix yourself, and then you can fit into society.
Yeah, and it's making me think about when I worked at the substance abuse treatment. And it's dual diagnosis, so also mentally ill. And we would talk about volunteering for the community itself, that you will love yourself better if you give to others. And a lot of burping, third burp of the session. A lot of clients would say, like, no one's ever given to me. No one's ever loved me. I'm not giving. And we would, this whole kind of battle would happen. But you would see people who like took a risk and really volunteered or gave their time into the community or stepped up in a different way. And you would see how their recovery radically changed, because people would love them as they gave. Yeah. And this is actually one of the hugest problems in our society right now, is that adults don't volunteer anymore. And that, or have hobbies that take them outside of the house. Like, this is where you get love, is where you are giving of your time, giving to others, or participating in something that you love a lot. And, we think it's just real important.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
One more email. What do you say?
Okay. Let me stretch for a minute.
Oh, okay. All right, we're back from the stretch break.
We had a little older moment where we had to wiggle it out.
Middle tier anonymous patron. She says, "Hi, Dr. Kirk and all hosts. Exciting news. My partner and I are expecting a baby. My due date is March 31st.
Which is right around the corner. We better get this podcast out.
He and I are very excited. I have 2 uncertainties around pregnancy and having a baby. Number 1, my body has changed so much, and sex and intimacy have been challenging. I've experienced some pain during intercourse, and my partner and I have had to stop. I also cannot orgasm even while masturbating alone, and this is jarring to me because I am very sensitive to what my body is doing. I feel really ashamed because my partner is also missing out on this very important part of our relationship. To be clear, my partner has never shamed me and is very attentive, supportive, and caring. I'm also going to pelvic floor therapy, which I feel is a valuable resource. Although I am nearing the end of the pregnancy, this issue has been present most of the time. Any thoughts or suggestions?
Yeah, there's tons of hormones going through your body that are making things real different, including in your whole pelvic region. There's all this elastin that's present that's making it so that your body can allow you to birth the body, but it really changes things, along with countless other hormonal and bodily changes. Like, I think you have double the amount of blood or maybe even more in your body than you usually do. So, and also sometimes people develop things in pregnancy that only last in the pregnancy. And then once the pregnancy is over, like preeclampsia, high blood pressure during pregnancy is one of those things that as soon as the baby's out, the body goes back. So I don't want you to think that this is only the way that your body's going to be from here on forward. That being said, childbirth and pregnancy can radically change your body. It did mine. And you may need to work again to discover new ways to have sex and intimacy post-pregnancy. Often, a lot of people post-pregnancy, so there's also, in terms of penetrative sex, there is an amount of time where you're asked not to have penetrative sex by your doctors as your body heals. So you might find other ways to find intimacy with your partner during that time. But there's lots of ways to have orgasms, and I'd be interested if you explore on a site like Oh My God Yes, or reading Betty Dodson's Sex for One, or there's all kinds of books on masturbation out there that you might have to find some new ways of pleasing yourself or finding pleasure.
What happened to you when you got pregnant?
What were my body changes? So I carried so far forward that it got to the point where I had to leave my job a month early because I could no longer reach my computer around my stomach. But I had a uterine rupture during my birth and a cesarean, so my whole abdomen now is like full of scar tissue that reattaches and breaks apart. Like, currently, getting really graphic here, but my bladder is attached left, which causes all kinds of problems. It's not a floating organ. It's like adhered to the left side of my pelvis. So post-pregnancy.
Does that mean your pee comes out to the right?
It means that every time I go from lying down to sitting up, there's an organ that should be floating that's not. And you can just kind of feel it. And I thought something was really wrong. It took a pelvic floor physical therapist to like confirm, like, nope, it's adhered. It's not moving. So it means I have to pee a lot. But yeah, I mean, I also became allergic, developed a sensitivity to walnuts and sulfites and nitrates, which took forever to figure out and was down to a size 0 because my GI tract was so fucked up. Now I'm like a size 14. I have been up to a size 18. So, my body is just radically different than it ever was.
What
before.
size would I be?
I don't know. You look like a men's medium. I don't know.
No, like in numbers.
Oh, we would have to stand
I'm like
next.
2 of you.
Yeah.
So would I be 28?
I don't know, because men's sizing is different. What size waist do you have? What size are your pants?
34?
Yeah, you're right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
What's the middle?
Well, yeah, I mean, so men's pants go down to like 28, I think, and like up to 50.
Yeah.
So anyways, bodies, they're weird, and childbirth is... I'm just warning everyone...
Yeah.
Childbirth is really hard on your body. We just, in teaching the sex class, you know what the stitch is?
From the rupture of the perineum?
Yeah. That often after women give birth, they are not asked. And this used to be very common that the doctor would just stitch the vaginal opening a little bit more closed so that men could have that tight experience that they had before the woman gave birth. And
That seems dangerous to do.
Yeah, and also like not asking, like, would you like to be stitched?
Well, plus I don't know if that. I mean, not to get into the specifics and the mechanics of that action, but I don't know if that would even work really.
Well,
because the whole canal is involved in
it
the
was
stimulation,
yeah.
right? So just the opening, what would that
it was
do?
it was a common. It's very, very common.
Ugh.
So yeah, your body will be different after. There will be lots to. Let's just say this: there'll be lots to figure out post birth of how your body works.
Yeah, things could even get better. Maybe you never know. Things could be. Oh, I didn't know I had this in me. Not necessarily likely, but who knows? The other thing, the only addition I will have is working with clients around orgasm and the difficulty to have an orgasm. Of course, exploring other options.
Yeah. How many toys do you have?
Traumas. Yeah, that, of course.
But
I will say
I have
that.
one more thing to say.
Oh, what are you going to say?
So I don't know if you've seen. Here's another thing that's on my feed. Have you seen any of these ads for all the sucking toys, the lemon, the rose?
No.
Okay. So there's all these sucking toys out there that are radically different than the vibrating toys. And for some clitoris having people, give people the orgasm of their life. What's really interesting with a lot of the ads for the sucking toys is they show people like inserting it and like literally trying to attach it to their cervix, which is not the way to have a huge your eyes just popped out of your head.
So I assumed the sucking was on the clitoris.
Exactly.
Not on the cervix.
Right. So what AI
you could
tool...
suck out your insides on it. I mean, right? You could like
it's
invert
just not,
something.
I mean, if that's the way you want to stimulate, maybe, but
Your cervix?
But this toy is designed to go on your cervix.
Is that safe?
This toy is designed to go on your clit.
Right.
So the fact that the advertising has it going somewhere else is so interesting, and it means that somebody who knows nothing about female anatomy is producing this ad.
Yeah.
Put the lemon. Here's a public service announcement. Put the sucking toy on the cervix.
How would you get the lemon inside far enough?
Who knows?
To get to the cervix? Anyway, what I was going to say is that for all people, that there's this assumption in our society and sometimes with physicians that orgasm and the ramp up to an orgasm is easier to achieve than might be for some people. Not only for some people, just because of, for whatever reason, they just always had a hard time with it, but also with changes to your body or with age or whatever, or after surgery or something, there can be this experience. And on one level, at sort of the most simplistic sex shaming level, there's just stigma in general, and so people just suffer in silence. The next level I find that is good, but a little simplistic, is like, well, you obviously just need to expand your horizons, which might be true. Certainly that is true for some people. But beyond that, there isn't a lot of discussion that I hear that it might be more elusive than is often assumed it can be, and so for middle tier anonymous patron, that you're having trouble with orgasm, and it sounds like you're pretty free sexually,
sex positive,
yeah, and you have a good partner that is, as you're saying, very attentive, that there's a chance that at least temporarily that there's nothing that can be done, which sucks. Moving forward, let's hope that that your body finds its way back to its old homeostasis, or at least a homeostasis that can have that experience. But for some people, that ramp up is elusive. We have some scientific theory as to what differentiates stimulation that produces engorgement, if you will, versus the actual ramp up to orgasm. We have theories and ideas about it, but it's not really locked down as to why there would be dysfunction for some people.
And the average American woman needs 45 minutes of foreplay and stimulation to reach orgasm.
Yeah.
So, that can that's an average. But what you need to feel embodied, and maybe orgasm doesn't need to be the goal anymore for now.
But it fucking sucks, you know what I mean?
Sure.
When you can't, it's
Yeah.
it not
if
only
you can't come back to Luigi, like, right? The fact that he couldn't have
Luigi?
sex. Luigi. I always talk about Luigi. Luigi.
Mangione.
Yes.
But you said coming back to him. Have we talked about him
I
today?
think, did we talk about him last time?
Oh,
I always talk about him.
interesting.
But his primary, oh no, maybe I talked about him in class. His primary presenting issue is back pain, which led to not being able to have sex in the way that he wanted to, and was one of his greatest problems. So yes, not being able to have the sex you want is huge.
Yeah. There's one more question.
Okay.
We are considered older parents. I'm 39 and he just turned 49. We both feel like having children at this age is perfect for us, but we understand that it is not standard for society. Is there anything we should know about raising children as quote unquote old people?
You're going to be real, real tired in a way that you just never imagined. They're going to run you ragged. And it's delightful. And they're funny. And they're sweet. And you learn all kinds of things. But you're going to be real, real tired.
And then she ends the email with a baby bookie pool. Have you heard of this sort of thing?
No. Like date time.
So it's a website that you can bet without betting money, but you get like bragging rights if you
guessed it right.
If you guess the exact time and day that the baby is born. It's just a funny new trend, maybe. I don't know.
I think that's cute.
Yeah, it's babybookie.com.
Which is funny because every episode of The Pit has a different bet that's going on. It's the security guard that runs this huge, for cash, betting pool that happens. There's always some crisis going on, and they create this huge schema of what is the crisis, where is it, and somebody wins a lot of money.
How many people have sex in the broom closet?
There's no sex on this show, which is one of the reasons I think I enjoy it so much.
Oh. So it really isn't like Grey's Anatomy.
No, it's not like Grey's Anatomy at all.
I mean, I don't know if Grey's Anatomy had sex in the broom closet, but I just
there is no romantic entanglements. I mean, it's also really unique in the format. It's like 24, and that each 12 episode season just follows 12 hours of a shift.
Oh.
So you're only getting into people's personal lives. You only get these like glimpses into people's personal lives, and then it's back to the traumas that are on the floor. And they say in ED departments, the doctor and nurses switch gears every 6 minutes on average. So like there's constantly a new case, or there's a long case that's going all day. There's some incredible storylines, one of which is following a rape kit collection session in real time. And you see that it just takes hours and hours and hours. I could just go on. Please watch the show and then we can podcast on it. I think you'll be blown away. I think you'll see yourself in it. Social work is heavily focused. They have a Black social worker. They have Filipino nurses. They have a trans...
Filipino nurses? How strange.
They have trans social workers. They have a psychologist in a wheelchair. It's just like the most accurate workplace drama. They have Noah Wiley, God bless him, plays the most traumatized Jewish doc with extreme workplace trauma. He has not recovered from COVID at all. There's a former military medic who's a doctor. Like, just the characters there's a savant 21-year-old who is not ready to be a doctor. It's just great.
I don't know. I feel like I have at least 10 more watch throughs of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms before I watch anything else. So
10 more full watch throughs of all 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll probably have to, again, rewatch House of the Dragon, seasons 1 and 2, because
Yes.
it'll kind of prompt that. And then
Right.
a smattering of season 4 Game of Thrones. So I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I'm locked in.
All
And
right.
I'm starting to get back into Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. And I'm starting to kind of enjoy Voyager. Because Alina, who is listening to this prior to publishing this episode, because they make the timestamps and make sure that there's no editing errors, Alina tells me that Voyager is pretty good. And
And
I
are
didn't
you-
like it at the time. But
Are you watching Academy?
I tried and I watched some, but I'd just say not for me, as we were
Okay.
saying earlier.
I haven't checked it out.
It's just tonally, it's extremely different from any of the Star Trek that I'm used to. Yeah.
So I'm a Next Generation
Yeah.
girly. But I've also been watching Foundation, which we've talked about, and now I'm rewatching it with E. And it's
Is that the cartoon one?
no. That's the sorry, different Star Trek. Just different future tripping.
Oh.
This is a different sci-fi. It was created actually as a chapter book between the wars by a Russian man on the run from Russia, and it is so profoundly of our times, even though it's centuries and millions and years in the future, but it is humans. It imagines a future where the person that runs the galaxy just keeps cloning themselves and things don't go well.
Interesting. Well, so that does it for that episode. We didn't have a single fight the whole
I know.
time.
We healed for now.
Yeah.
Who knows what's flaring under the surface?
What?
Who knows what's flaring under the surface?
Yeah. Until next time.
Will we fight again once every 20 years? Tune in.
And take care of yourself because
We like you and we want you to be okay.